All right, so today I wanted to just go over my first impressions of this Radian receiver set. And I honestly haven't looked at it yet. I haven't even opened the box, so this is actually going to be my actual first impressions of this upper receiver. So I bought an upper receiver and a handguard set from Optics Planet. It's damned expensive. Like, I honestly don't. I don't think it's worth it. The only reason I bought it is because I had a Radian lowered. I just wanted the upper and the handguard to match. I've always wanted a Radian build, but I don't like the 416R stainless barrels that Radian uses. I think the Radian complete uppers are definitely overpriced. Just the handguard and the upper receiver itself, it's freaking $800. So it's a lot of money. I mean, I still have to buy the barrel, the gas block, the bolt carrier group, but it's still cheaper to buy it this way. I ended up opting for a 14-inch handguard rather than the 15.5. They come in some really strange lengths too. So I think they come in like an 8.3-inch handguard length. I want to say a 14-inch, a 15.5, and a 17-inch handguard length. And the higher that you go up, the more expensive it is. So like I said, it was damned $800 for this upper receiver set. So like any good product, I've got like a whole bag of damn stickers now. So always appreciate the stickers, but you know, people make a bigger deal out of stickers than I think that it really needs to be. Here's your barrel nut torque wrench that you'll need, or you need to attach to your torque wrench, and it comes with a little torque spit that you'll probably need to tighten down some torque spits on like the handguard and stuff. I will say presentation for Radian is always very, very good. Like the box, how it's protected, what the whole experience of the unboxing for Radian stuff is really, really good. It's some of the best. I'm not to say like packaging and presentation should mean a whole lot, but it's like those little attention to details. I can tell that Radian put some thought into design and things. So that's kind of what you're paying for. But decent manual, I guess, is what you call it. This is definitely a little more over the top than I would expect for most receiver sets. But it's nice that they include instructions. I don't ever really read instructions that much, so that's just because I'm a man. I'll just figure that stuff out. And here's the upper receiver and the handguard. I did not know that it came with a Magpul polymer dust cover. I kind of assumed that it was going to come with a mil-spec steel one, because that's all the pictures that I saw, but I honestly think that's an upgrade, so that's kind of nice. It does come with a Radian Raptor SD, so I don't shoot suppress, so I've never found a reason to buy the SD versions of Radian Raptors, but it's nice that I include it. That is, you know, $110 part if you want to consider that into the cost, but you do get a Radian Raptor SD charging handle, which is kind of nice. You get a nice fancy forward assist, right? And this is in Radian black, so this is Cerakoted, not hard Type 3 hard-coated anodized or anything. You see a Radian Model 1, and it's got some nice designs. This is definitely billet and not mil-spec. It's definitely not forged. Still 7075 T6, and for those that don't know, your upper receiver, the 7075 is the material. T6 is just the heat treatment that the material went through. So, and then the handguard itself, like most other handguards, other than like maybe LaRue that I'm aware of, the handguard's going to be 6061. So it's extruded aluminum instead of forged or CNC billeted. So, but it is a nice looking handguard. I'll give him that. I kind of wish it were 7-sided M-lock, and you can see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it's definitely a little wider than most handguards. that I felt like it's a full grip, full C clamp grip. I usually put M-lock panels on the side, but if I did that, it'd be quite, it's a thick girl for sure. So no T markings on the top, but you can see all the chamfering and all the machining they did on the actual handguard itself. And then I am aware, let's see if that's not going to be big enough. Let's see, is this one big enough? This one is big enough. They do tighten the screws down for you, which is kind of nice. Whoop, lost a nut. Need to get that real quick. Did not realize there was a nut on the bottom. My cat helped me find it. All right, so you can see it's kind of an interesting looking nut. It's not your typical like hex nut or anything like that. It looks like more like a teardrop, right? And you can see how that fits in right there. You can see like kind of the teardrop design. I don't know, it's kind of interesting how that's designed. The one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is that there's a, what is that, like a little washer or something? Yeah, it's got a little washer there. Not a big fan of a ton of small parts like this, right? So I feel like you could lose these a little more easily. I'm just going to tighten that down. I would show the barrel nut, but I just don't want to lose all these small parts right now. This is literally the first time that I've looked at this upper receiver. But the lockup does seem quite good on the handguard as it meets up with the upper receiver. You can kind of see the barrel nut there, right? So you kind of have to line up. I'm pretty sure you have to time the barrel nut in order to get it to lock up correctly. So I'm not a huge fan of timed barrel nuts, but in a way they should be more secure most of the time. I know Noveske has timed barrel nuts. People either love them or hate them. And you can see the finish on the inside looks quite good too. So and it's got, you know, it's attention to details, right? So you got your Radian design on the forward assist. It's kind of teardrop there. I mean, they're not just like regular bolts and nuts and forward assists. I mean, every little part kind of is made for Radian, more or less. I believe Radian makes most of their parts too. So let's see how well this meets up with a lower receiver. So I've had this lower receiver for a few months, bought it around Christmas time. Found it at a local gun store, and I don't really see Radian stuff other than like charging handles and like the Talon safeties and stuff. Never seen a Radian lower in the wild at a gun store, so I decided to buy it. Price was $430 after tax, the price of the lower, and the $5 $44.73 or the background check. So I just decided to buy it because I've always wanted a Radian lower, and I had the disposable income at the time to purchase it. And I knew by purchasing this lower that it was going to cost me a lot of money, not just for the lower, but the fact that I'm building another AR-15. That's why I've just told myself, quit buying lowers, because every lower that you buy, you basically build an AR-15. It's a freaking expensive hobby. I don't suggest doing it, but that's my curse. I buy a lower, I have to build an AR-15. I'm just at that point now. So I've always wanted a full Radian build, but I quite honestly believe that the complete Radian uppers, they're way overpriced. I mean, just the handguard and the upper receiver is way overpriced. $800 for this, it's a lot of money. So you take out the Radian SD, the forward assist, the ejection port cover. What's that? $150 in costs right there for parts. So you take off $150, you're still looking at $650 for just the handguard and the upper receiver. Yes, it is a fancy looking matched upper and handguard. You know, I like how it matches up here and stuff. It kind of looks like one piece. not monolithic, but you know what I mean. Like it's mated together. It's made to go together. So that's kind of what you're paying for. And like with the Radian upper, the Radian lower comes with a nice Radian Talon. So that's part of the cost of the lower. So you can include that into the cost of the actual lower itself. And again, the boxing and presentation of the actual Radian lower is very nice. The manual's very nice, and it should be for the price, to be honest with you. So I'll just put that to the side for now. So there's the Radian. I used to call it an ADAC, but apparently it's called an AX556 lower. I always thought it was an ADAC. The ADAC's actually the action for their ambidextrous controls, is what I think. So, and again, attention to detail, fit and finish is all just very, very well done. Comes with your pivot pin and your takedown pin, and like I said, a Radian Talon safety. It also comes with a trigger and hammer pin. And one thing to keep in mind with this particular, I'm sorry, it only comes with the hammer pin, it looks like. But the hammer pin is proprietary, so you are kind of stuck with, I mean, you could use a cassette-style drop-in trigger, but these are kind of more designed for mil-spec triggers. And it's proprietary, so you can see this little cutout here for this proprietary hammer pin. So you're pretty much designated to run a Geisley or, you know, a mil-spec type trigger and stuff. Not a huge fan of proprietary parts, but when you're getting into ambidextrous lowers, you're pretty much going to have some proprietary parts. It doesn't matter if it's LMT, if it's CAC, if it's ADM. I would say that ADM's probably the closest competitor for Radian. The ADM UIC lowers, they're still cheaper than the Radians, but ADM just raised their prices recently. They're not far off. And the Radian lowers, the ADM lowers do not come with a Radian Talon safety. So if the Radian Talon safety is worth it to you, that's kind of the price difference of a Radian lower to an ADM. You do get some nicer pivot pin and takedown pins, in my opinion, with a Radian lower. I do like the ambidextrous controls a little bit more on the ADM because I've been playing around with this. Like this magazine release on the left side, it just feels very stiff to me, if that makes sense. And you can see it kind of actuates the bolt catch a little bit too as well. Here's your bolt catch. Here's your bolt release. That's very smooth. It's very reminiscent of like a Geisley Maritime or even the ADM UIC bolt catch. And you can see everything, all the proprietary stuffs is being held in with set screws. So this is your bolt drop, which is kind of nice, right? And that's held in with a set screw. And then this is your bolt catch. And I'm still deciding or not whether I like this design. I'm not a big fan, because this is typically your magazine release, right? I'm not a big fan of having a function of something that I'm already used to doing something else as well. So for those of you that aren't familiar, in order to utilize the ambidextrous controls for the bolt catch, you hold down your magazine release button and it pushes up on your bolt catch to hold the bolt open if you want to do that. If you need to manipulate the firearm one-handed and stuff. I like that feature, but I'm so used to dropping the magazine with that button. I'm kind of curious to see how the training is going to go with this particular lower. So I have a suspicion that I'm going to have to train around this lower, if I'm being honest. So, but fit and finish, super nice. I mean, attention to details are there. Like I said, it's Cerakoted rather than hard-coat anodized. Some people like Cerakote, some people don't. I will say I'll probably just get it re-Cerakoted in some cool-ass color down the road if it starts to wear off. But let's see what man. Oh, yeah. That's actually a really nice fit. So let's see if I can't lock them in here. I have a hard time getting this pivot pin. I can get that takedown pin in. Let's see. It is a very tight fit, guys. Very tight. So I like a tight fit on my upper and lower. It's actually so tight, it's a little hard to get off. So I'm very confident that there's going to be absolutely no wiggle in that. And that's probably because of the set screw. So let's see if I can't find something that can go into here to loosen this a little bit. Because I can feel it. I can feel it. Maybe it's supposed to be that way because it's almost all the way unscrewed. That's basically all the way that you can screw it in. I mean, it's very tight if you screw that in any more. So it doesn't. If you sit it flush, that's basically all the way that you can screw it in. But you can see that it does push up on it, but it has it's spring loaded, so it's got some spring tension on that. That's probably why you get such a tight lockup on the upper and lower. So I do quite like that feature, but I wonder if you'll have to change that spring out at some time. But anyway, the finishes seem to match up pretty well. So both Cerakoted at different times, because obviously I didn't buy them at the same time together. There we go. Got to lock in finally. No, I couldn't get the pivot pin to lock in. That was my problem. I really want to get that locked in. Not sure why that's not locking in. I'll have to do this off camera just to get a little better idea of how this fits together. But obviously it does fit together. I'll have to finagle this pivot pin a little bit. I usually put the pivot pin in first and then the takedown pin as far as snapping it. But you can see it does match quite well. So I am very interested to see how well this build goes. So I haven't decided exactly where I'm going to go with the build, but I've got the some of the components ready to go. I think it's a good looking receiver set. It's basically the Radian builder set now. But I can tell you that weight wise, it doesn't feel all that much heavier, if any heavier at all than my ADM. I feel like my ADM is pretty heavy. People complain about how heavy the Radian upper is, but I have a feeling that has to do with their 416R barrel. The reason why I didn't want to buy a complete Radian upper is because I think they're overpriced, in which they are at like, what is it, $2,600? I'm sorry. I think it's like $2,000 or more for a damn Radian upper, complete Radian upper, which I think's absolutely just ridiculous. I still think paying $800 for an upper receiver handguard and even a charging handle and stuff is pretty ridiculous too. But I wanted a matching receiver set, so and unfortunately the lower receiver that I picked was a high tier lower receiver. So in order to get a matching receiver set, you're going to have to shell out the money. But I like it. You know what I mean? So that's all that really matters. And I've been blessed enough to be able to afford something like this. I know not everyone is able to afford stuff like this, which is okay. You absolutely don't need stuff like this. I'm not trying to show off or anything. I'm just trying to show whether or not, like, you as the individual think it's going to be worth your money. Do I think it's worth my money? I do. I enjoy firearms. I enjoy looking at parts. I enjoy, like, feeling just nice finishes so let me break something down for you guys. So if you take pride in how your firearm functions and looks and everything, and like it looks cool, right? Like, let's say your firearm looks cool. You're going to take it out more. You're more liable to like use it, practice with it. So there is some functionality behind a good looking weapon system, in my opinion. So do you need it? No, like absolutely not. Mil spec, most mil spec like PSA stuff works pretty well. You just want to make sure everything's lined up correctly. Sometimes you have to retorque stuff down and Loctite it, or line up your gas block on a PSA upper, stuff like that. Like just little details that you wouldn't have to do with a nicer quality upper. Plus, then you're going to have other details, like most of the PSA stuff don't have pin gas blocks. I like having pin gas blocks. Most of them are going to use like second quality FN cold hammer forged barrels, as opposed to like the first choice FN cold hammer forged barrels. They're not going to have nicer ambidextrous controls. Some of their fit and finishes can be a little questionable, but you can get a decent deal on a blim, stuff like that, right? So, just like most of my other videos that I do, like the Gucci stuff, it's nice. Like, it's nice seeing the attention to details, the machining, fit and finishes, presentation of packaging. It's all usually very well done. And the Radian receiver set is no exception. Like, it's nice. It's very nice. Do you need it? You don't. You absolutely don't need it. But if you want a quality upper or lower receiver set with a good looking handguard, I mean, you are getting some extra features like the Radian Raptor SD, forward assist, pivot takedown pins, and a Radian Talon with it as well. And to me, those are all added up costs, because I'd buy a Radian Talon and I'd buy a Radian Raptor charging handle for a build. So I don't know. I'm cool with it. I know not everyone is as fortunate to be able to afford something like this, or some people might have more family duties than I do. I live very modestly, but I live very modestly in other ways, so I can afford this nicer stuff for me. So I'll pinch pennies in other ways so I can afford my gun stuff, is kind of what I'm trying to say. It's worth it to me, right? So anyway, that's my little spiel on, just saving money for the things that you want. I think it's worth it. Stuff like this, you're probably not going to get your money back on, but the way that materials, shipping, and just availability is going, I don't know. I don't know if this stuff's really going to get any cheaper, to be honest with you. I hope it does. I hope it goes down to, pre 2019 pricing, but I just don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. So if you're looking to get gun parts and guns and ammunition, stuff like that, now's the time to be buying it, in my opinion. So anyway, that's been like kind of my first impressions. My cat's playing with the plastic bag that the receiver came in, of the Radian receiver set, more or less. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching.